ahead, because I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to have to move it along, right? Hey. All right, we'd like to get this meeting started. There's plenty of seats up front if anyone wants to brave the front row. I promise we don't bite. All right, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Hazel Park Board of Education today, October 21st, to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Adkins.
Here.
Hampton.
Here.
Mr. Hempel.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Mrs. Hempel.
Here.
No. Schlott.
Here. All right, Pastor Barry David of Landmark Community Church will deliver our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Let us pray. Father, we're grateful for a good start of this new school year. We thank you for our new teachers and administration staff. Thank you for the new students joining us this year. We're grateful for our leadership team, for our superintendent and her administrators, for the principals and their staffs, and of course, the outstanding crusaders of the classrooms, our teacher staff. For tonight, we pray for wisdom in all deliberations, and may each decision be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we need to start with an approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Schlott.
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Adkins.
Yes. All right, we have a few things under the special order of business. We're going to start with our new certified staff introductions. Who's going to do that?
So each of the principals are going to be introducing, or interviewing. We could do it again. We'll be introducing their staff from their buildings.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to go with Hazel Park High School first, and Dr. Costello will be doing that this evening.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Hazel Park High School, Mr. Milch and Ms. King, I am going to be welcoming the new staff at the high school. And please forgive me and correct me by all means if I mispronounce your name. Jillian, Megan, if you're present, can you please step forward? Emily Stetson. Sarah Hensley, Maxwell Von Hayden, Sarah Williams.
She just delivered a beautiful baby on Friday. So I think that would be the reason she did not.
I
All in all the time, but maybe not.
And Kathleen Orderlieb. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to apologize for my appearance. Today was Spirit Day. I was dressed all mixed match, so I just threw out a pair of jeans to come, not thinking I was going to have to come up here. So I am truly sorry for my lack of professionalism at this point. First of all, Mary Korth joined our 7th and 8th grade English team. I don't see her today, but I do see Miss Sheila O'Kane. Do you want her to come on up? She is our amazing new 6th grade science teacher, comes to us with wonderful experience. We are thrilled to have her. Mr. Alexander Welsh was a student teacher at the high school last year and joined our team in our social studies department, but I don't see him right now. Ms. Catherine Davis did her student teaching in Hazel Park, I think like 13 years ago, and then loved it here so much that when she moved back into the area, this is where she wanted to be, and we are thrilled to have her as our 8th grade Project Lead the Way teacher. Mr. Rodney Reynolds is our social worker, and I don't see him. He comes to us also with lots of experience. We're very fortunate to have him. Miss Michelle Rogowski is our emotionally impaired special education teacher. Comes with us a few years' experience and just rocking out of the park, doing a great job. I don't see her either. Mr. Matthew McGuire is our art teacher. He actually joined us in April, so you can imagine how difficult that was. He teaches 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at a middle school in April, so he's still a newbie to us, but he's doing a phenomenal job. If you get a chance to look at the artwork around the junior high, there's some beautiful paintings that just went up this week. Our occupational therapist, Miss Ashley Bowker. I don't think I see Ashley. I've met her just a few times. She's in and around in a lot of buildings. She's phenomenal. And then Mr. Kent Cady actually just joined us about 2 weeks ago as our ASD special education teacher, and also comes to us with lots of experience. So we're very pleased with all of our amazing new hires. Thank you.
Hello. I don't think any of my people are here, but I'm going to introduce them. My first new teacher is Susan Blackier, and she is our new 5th grade teacher. She comes to us with lots of charter experience, and she's very excited to be in the public schools. She's already building great relationships with the students, and it's just been really amazing. She's done a great job. The next I'd like to talk about or introduce Kimberly Alt. She's our new halftime music teacher. Fabulous. They're drumming with home. I said they were drumming, and she said, well, this is, what did she call it? Bucket drumming. So they have drumsticks and big Home Depot buckets, and they're playing the drums, and it's just amazing. I'm very excited. Erica Bailey is our new social worker. She has been an enormous help. We were without an emotionally impaired teacher for quite a few weeks, and she was in there. She's been in there supporting the classroom and doing great things with the kids. And now we have just secured Yashika Blanks. She is our new EI teacher. She's been there 2 weeks, and she's also done a fabulous job in her first 2 weeks. So we're really excited about our new staff, and everything's going positively and wonderfully at Hoover. All right.
I don't know if I can follow that act. She's got so much energy. Not at all, never. I had to say goodbye to a few of our teachers this year, and I was very sad about that. But on the other hand, I am as equally excited about the new staff that I welcomed into United Oaks. This is kind of the first year I've gotten to hire people, so it was fun to go through the process. So I have Leah McCloskey, who is in 2nd grade, and she joined a great 2nd grade team and just fit right in. Miss Mary Mack, who is here this evening. Come on up, Miss Mary Mack. And it's hard not to sing the song. And Mary is rocking it out as actually kind of the lead teacher in 4th grade. Since our other 4th grade teacher went on leave, she has really taken the reins up and has been doing a really good job. Julia Hogan, who is we got a new Young Fives this year, and we got a new Young Fives teacher. And she's not here tonight, but she's also doing a great job. Julie Hemke is our new social worker. We said goodbye to our Emily McDonald, who had her hands into a lot of the PBIS stuff, and Julie seems to be stepping up in her shoes very nicely. So we're thrilled to have Julie. And our other person that's here tonight is our new 1st grade teacher, and that's Tiffany Weedman. And Tiffany, you know how hard it is to come after the school year starts. So she walked into an established class and started that class and has been rocking it out ever since. And just like Mary, the other 1st grade has got a long-term sub in it as the teacher is on maternity. So both of these ladies are kind of having to take the reins and really be leaders in their grade level. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies.
everyone. Corey Nastasi, principal at Webb, and I have a very short list, which is a very good thing for me. We had to do very little hiring this summer. First of all, we have a new kindergarten teacher because we had so many kindergartners. We had to make an extra class, which is great news. So Miss Hannah Ball, come on up, Hannah. Hannah was from Michigan, moved to Arizona, and is back. She's back with us from Arizona and is doing a fantastic job blending in really well with the other kindergarten teachers and just working super hard with those kindergarten kiddos. And then also we have a new school psychologist. We share her with a couple other buildings when I absolutely have to. Miss Andrea Lamb. And Andrea has done a fantastic job really melding right into our routines and helping to lead meetings and brainstorm to make good decisions for kids. So I'm super excited to have both of those ladies with us. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of Dr. Michelle Krause, I'm going to present to you the Edison new staff for this year. I'm Tamara Diller, Director of Student Services. So I don't see any of these folks, but they are amazing additions to our team. Edison opened this year a new post-type program, and so our new teacher is Evan Varasian, high energy, enthusiastic, fantastic gentleman. So if you get a chance, say hello to Evan. Julia Kubik, she comes from out of state, the great state of Illinois. She is our new school psychologist at Edison. I do not see Julia, but she is assimilating very, very well in Edison, I hear. Corey Chancellor, our new school psychologist, amazing, very, very experienced, right in there with the students, loves Edison, so she's great. And then David Capone is a very, very new hire, one of our new social workers for the new transition program at Edison. So these are fantastic people, and we are so lucky to have them at Edison.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Papazian-Broadwell from Jardin, and I only have one new staff this year, and we share her with Edison. It's our occupational therapist, Jennifer McQuiston, and she is not here tonight, unfortunately, but fantastic lady, brings to us a lot of knowledge and skills, so we are very lucky to have her too.
We also had a great honor in being able to open up another section of our GSRP classrooms at Webster, and I would like to introduce Catherine Wimmer, the new GSRP lead teacher.
And then at our alternative school, we have a new resource teacher, which is wonderful. Christopher Migliori is here tonight. Right here, Chris. Welcome. He comes with a lot of great experience. We're very, very thrilled to have Chris join our team.
All right, well, welcome to all the new staff. We're really excited to have you on board, and so we wanted to make sure we got a chance to meet some of your, put faces to some of the names that we've been hearing about. So next item under special order of business is the advanced placement students recognition. So Dr. Krupe?
Sure, I'd love some help.
Do you want all of us to come around? Or
I think this is a great time for the whole board to come up.
all right, board. Let's come over and shake hands.
So we're really excited. When I came, we were not able to have AP classes within our school environment. And we gathered some statistics to show the change that we've been able to do. So we know that back probably in 2013, 14, we were able to have AP classes, and right before I came, that was part of the cuts that happened due to the financial constraints. And so we looked at 2015, and we know that we had 41 students that were in AP classes, and out of those 41 students, 22 students passed the AP tests. But those were not students that were taking classes here in Hazel Park. And in 2016, we had 46 students that were taking AP classes and 28 students passed. In 2017, we were up to 36 students, and 14 passed. And now we're looking at, in 2018, 87 students took the AP test, and 26 students passed, and last year, 85 students. So we know that we're making an effect on giving access to students being able to take the test. So we're really excited. Now we need to focus on making sure more students are passing. That's just the students that took the test. That doesn't mean that that's the amount of students that are in the classes. So we're really excited. We've added a couple more AP classes this year, and we know that to give equity, we need to give students access. So congratulations to you as a board for giving us the opportunity to bring those classes back and give really a lot of access to the students. So we know that all the students couldn't be here because some of those were seniors, but we wanted to go ahead and celebrate that anyway because we should be celebrating when our students are passing those classes. And so tonight, we're thankful for those of you that could be here, but we're going to announce everybody that passed those tests because they should be celebrated. So we have a certificate and we have a little badge of honor for you, and we hope that you will take those and have those memories. I know that I was just recently looking through my yearbook and thinking about things, and someday, when you're old like me, that's pretty old, you'll look back and you'll have some of those memories because it's not only the sports that you do, but it's also the academic achievements that you should feel really proud about. So, you got them? Good. First one is Andrew Atkins. Go Lakers. What I should read off, which one was that for? AP Statistics. I believe he was the only one that passed AP Statistics. Rebecca Atkins, AP World History. Nathan Anderson, who is not here this evening, I believe he's getting ready for a college information session tonight. I heard from Michigan Tech. AP Language and Composition. Kayla Andrews, AP Studio Art and 3D Art Design. Faith Aquino, AP Studio Art and 3D Art Design. Farah Aquino, AP Language and Composition. Nancy is a proud teacher right now. Abby Jones, AP Language and Composition. Robin Konzorski, AP Literature and Composition. Micaiah Cruz, AP World History. Matthew Love, AP World History. Melanie Love. Melanie Love, AP Government and Politics. Maybe her mom or dad might want to come up and get this for her. Congratulations, Dad. Emma McCormick, AP World History. Candace Squire, AP World History. Alexandru Toy, AP Language and Composition. Joshua Waldecker, AP World History. Joshua Waldecker, AP Literature and Composition. Boy, Connor Zabosian. Thank you. AP World History. Was that the one that was in the hole? Yeah. And last but not least at all, Kirsten Sanders, AP World History. How about one last big round of applause for our amazing students? And our amazing teachers that helped our students get there.
All right, we can move on to our next item, which is our food service presentation.
All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcia. I'm the Director of Dining Services. Somebody going to be advancing that for me? Oh, Matt? Okay, great. Well, I'm just kind of going to go over the stuff from last year that we had. With the year end, we ended up doing an average of 1,130 breakfasts a day. That's the whole district. The number of lunches served daily was at 1794, and the snacks were a little low at 131. For the summer food service program, for the whole summer this summer, we served 2,157 breakfasts. We served 2,203 lunches. That was for the whole June, July, August for the summer feeding program. I sent Matt the wrong slide. Can you go back one? So here on the bottom it says grants for the fresh fruit and vegetable program at United Oaks, but we also have the grant this year for all 3 elementary schools. So that would also include Hoover and Webb. They all have $18,000 for the school year. And the fresh fruit and vegetable program allows us to order snacks for the classroom twice a week. And then we just bill back the cost of the produce to the state. So good that we have that.
I got a question, if you don't mind.
No.
Snacks, the 131, is that classroom or after-school snacks?
After-school snacks.
So that's the ones that want to take advantage of it?
Yes, like the different sports programs,
So if
Latchkey.
they're not taking it, that's their choice?
Right.
Okay.
Not all the sports programs take advantage of the
Okay.
snack program, but they are all more than welcome to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we participate in the National Breakfast Program, Lunch Program, After-School Snack, and the Adult and Child Care Food Program at Webster, the GSRP. We follow the Smart Snack compliance for all of our snacks that we sell at the schools, and then we also participate with fundraising compliance. So these are some pictures of the junior high school. Last year during the school year, we updated some things in the junior high school and we added a couple new concepts. We added the Chicken Dippity slide station, which we have all chicken products there. We do the regular chicken patty, spicy chicken patty. We do chicken and waffles on that station. Sometimes we do the chicken tenders and the chicken nuggets and different things at that station. The grill station, we also serve a variety of things there every day. Corn dogs, sometimes we have burgers, we have the pretzel rods for lunch and different things at that station as well. And then down here in the lower corner is the fresh fruit and vegetable bar at the junior high school. And then over on the other side is the pizza that we serve there fresh daily. We make all our own pizzas in all of our schools, so. I'm available for nutrition education if anybody needs me to come talk to a classroom. Discovery Kitchen events, we did them last year, and we already did one this year at the high school, and we're doing one tomorrow at the junior high school. Tammy will be there. Nutrition bulletin boards are in all the schools with all of the food focus, the different foods that we're offering in the programs. Menu promotions, we're doing Lucky Tray still for the elementary schools and some theme meals and some celebrations that we're still working on for the school year. We're going to be planning some smoothie bike events for the elementary schools coming up pretty soon. And then community engagement, I'm trying to get to those meetings, but I live kind of far away, so I haven't been here for one of those yet, but I'm still planning on making it to them, so something else we'll be participating in. Future opportunities, again, we were able to get the fresh fruit and vegetable program again this year, like I said, for 3 of the elementaries and not just one. Discovery Kitchen, demonstrating cooking and smoothie bikes events coming up. We'll continue to apply for different grants and hopefully be talking about some updates in some kitchens pretty soon here. Hopefully to the high school, for anybody that's here that went to the high school and knows that the line is exactly the same way it's been for a long time. So hopefully we're looking to add the Sono concept at the high school. It's a Mexican food concept because we know that's what the kids like to eat, and that's our most popular day is Tuesdays. We do Taco Tuesday at all the schools, so we have some kind of taco thing every Tuesday. But this would bring it to the high school every day, so they will never miss Taco Bell. And we're also looking into, and I'm already putting together a catering planner and guide for the district. So we have cookies and punch out in the hall if anybody's thirsty or hungry. So that's it. I have some pictures up here. Jamie and Sarah and I did the hometown huddle last month. We featured a caprese skewer with mozzarella, basil, and tomato for the for our food focus for the month. There's a picture of Sarah and I doing the Discovery Kitchen at the high school a couple weeks ago. Down here in the lower corner is the new line at Edison, which I assume everybody's going to come see in a couple weeks when they have an open house. It's a beautiful, beautiful kitchen. Just, it's an insanely beautiful kitchen. And then up in the top there, that's one of the food bars we've been doing between the junior high school and the high school. On Fridays, they're either doing like baked potato bar, hot dog bar. Can't think, there's a couple other things that they've been doing on, I think last week they had macaroni and cheese bar, so they get the main part and then they can put all their toppings on it. So we're doing that at the junior high and the high school right now. So, oh, and Great Apple Crunch coming up this Friday. We're doing it at Webb Elementary this year. Sorry, Carla. So we're going to do that this Friday. We're going to get all the kids in the cafeteria area, and they're all going to get an apple, and we're all going to crunch at one time. And Dave Bean's going to take a picture for us. So, yeah. That's all I have for now.
Well, thank you for sharing all this information. Board, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I just think that the pictures of our actual kitchens, that's the food that the kids are getting.
Every day.
That food looks so much better than the food that we got, so I'm hoping that they really are enjoying what they get.
If anybody ever wants to come for lunch, give me a call. I'll meet you at whatever school you want to go see or try at lunchtime. So, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you.
All right, our next item on the agenda is the Pathways to Potential presentation.
So good evening again. As many of you know, last April of 2018, we welcomed Pathways to Potential into the district, which allowed for us to have these great success coaches in our 3 elementary and our junior high school. We're still working on trying to get one at the high school. We're working on it. But tonight, they will be here to share. Actually, I'll have them introduce themselves. If you want to come up to it, we can introduce themselves, tell which building they're in, and then we'll have them share a little bit more about what Pathways to Potential, what it's about, what they've done throughout this past school year, the 18-19, and the plans that they have for this year. So I'll have them introduce themselves before we start.
My name is Ashley Soper. I am the success coach over at Hazel Park Junior High.
I'm Jennifer Ankofsky, and I'm the success coach at United Oaks.
Good evening. I'm Celebrity Good, success coach at Webb Elementary.
We also have another teammate, a success coach over at Hoover Elementary, and her name is Crystal Cottrell. Oh, it's over this. Okay. So, Pathways to Potential. It is a program through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and it is housed inside of local schools. So, Pathways to Potential, we have 5 target areas. Those are attendance, education, health, safety, and self-sufficiency. So as a success coach, we have a number of different roles, but the main ones are case management, community engagement, as well as providing incentive programs, as well as interventions to combat chronic absenteeism and truancy. Go on to the next slide for me. Thank you. So the case management piece of that, for families within the school district that live in Oakland or Macomb County, the success coach at the respective schools will be their caseworker. And so the case management piece, we help determine benefit eligibility for the programs listed here. But then because we're in the community and we have that, that one-on-one experience with the parents and the students, oftentimes we're able to refer them to additional resources, for example, Orchards Children's Services, and there's also what is called a MAZE assessment through Oakland schools. We also do, if you go to the next slide for me, we have the engaging community partners, and my partner will take over for me.
So we basically go out into the community either by going in person or making phone calls, sending letters, to try and engage local businesses and agencies to help us provide some of the incentives that we give to students. We request donations or sponsorships or sometimes other types of partnerships. Next slide, please. Our biggest function as far as work in the school is to assist with attendance. We do that either by providing incentives or by doing intervention when it's required. And if you go to the next slide, I can tell you a little bit more about that. So intervention includes reaching out to parents primarily. Sometimes we reach out to the students as well if it's appropriate. But we usually start with the parents and try to figure out why they're not coming to school, see if there's something that we can do to help resolve the issues. We also do incentives, and those include prizes or activities that make the students want to come to school, so that it's less of a struggle for the parents. So we're going to, perfect. This slide we're going to split between the two of us. Last year, some of the incentive programs that we had going on in the elementary schools were monthly attendance raffles and awards, Kindness Club at United Oaks, where kids are rewarded for both citizenship and attendance. Basically, the primary goal is citizenship, but they have to have good attendance to be included. A Henry Ford partnership that we piloted at United Oaks, and a summer reading book giveaway. And then Ashley will tell you about the middle school.
All right, so at the junior high, there's the book club. Initially, the book club was intended for students who had trouble arriving to school on time. So it was invite only, but eventually it blossomed into something else and students would ask to join. So of course I wouldn't turn a student away. So there was the book club. I did some monthly attendance raffles with the students as well, and then Tigers tickets, which of course have an attendance piece to it. If students had acceptable attendance, they were eligible to win Tigers tickets. And so if you go to the next slide, we can talk about some of the programs coming up this school year. Do you want to go or do you want to go?
You can start.
Okay, all right, so there is expansion of the book club. I am working with Oakland University to take some of the Hazel Park Junior High students to the Oakland University campus, to tour the campus, but then also to sit in on a lecture. And so the students, with approval, of course, of the school, Hazel Park Junior High, and the college professors, the students will read the same book as the college students. And there'll be an assignment prior to attending the lecture, and then there'll be some sort of capstone assignment following their experience at the university. I'm also doing Tasty Tuesday, which is just intended to get students hyped up about school. And so if they are on time for their first hour, they receive a raffle ticket. Their name is put into a hat, and then at lunchtime, I select different names, and they're eligible for a treat. And fortunately, the Apple Fritter Donut Shop has so kindly been donating treats to us every Tuesday, and they've committed to do so to the end of the school year. So hooray for them. And then there's the quarterly news broadcast. I'm going to team up with a couple of students, and we're going to do something like a video audio deal with their iPads and maybe some iPhones, of course, with supervision.
And at the elementary level this year, some of the new things we're doing, we're expanding the Henry Ford partnership. It went really well at United Oaks last year, so this year they're allowing us to do the other P2P schools. And basically what that does, we're allowed to take the students, we can kind of set our own parameters, but it always comes back to attendance. We can take them to either Henry Ford Museum or Greenfield Village, and it's free for all students and parents if they want to go. We're doing a trip to Meadowbrook to see a play this year. And we're also doing an all-star night, and we're doing monthly parent raffles because we really want to try and engage the parents more. So we figure what better way to do that than giving them free stuff. And then if you want to just wrap up on the next slide, yeah, there you go. This is just our contact information. And if anybody wants to talk to us, there you go. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Are there any questions? No? Yes?
How do you get your referrals of students, like attendance? How do you?
So we have access to MyStar. So we use the reports within MyStar, and then we also have a referral form for teachers and other administration within the school building. If they have concerns about a student, whether it be their absences or tardies, they can fill out that referral form and pass it along to us, and then we follow up with the student and or parents.
Okay, and your partnerships, you mentioned the Apple Fritter. He was a past parent here, Roosevelt.
Nice.
So, what other ones do you have? This is great. There's a lot of great incentives and positive things going on, but it's an awful lot. Like, where are you getting all the prizes and the money? Like, Meadowbrook is free. Are they donating that?
Yeah, so the school district isn't paying for any of this. Basically, we try and get the funding from community businesses. Like Classic Coney Grill has helped us out, the Henry Ford, Christian Financial. So basically just local businesses, whatever we can get, we get.
It also requires us to be in the community and attend different events to talk about the program, to help organizations to see the value in partnering with us, like how you did with Henry Ford and with Oakland University.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
On your first report there, you said you're only going by the Macomb and Oakland County. We do have students from Wayne County. What do you do for those students? Are you doing the exact same thing? I mean, I know the program is only, it says basically just Oakland County and Wayne, Macomb.
Well, so in terms of the case management piece, in terms of cases that we actually work and determine eligibility for, it is only Macomb and Oakland County at this particular moment. But we interact with students from the Tri-County area. If we have a student that has needs and they happen to live in Detroit or another Wayne County city, we will provide them with assistance.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because
Those students are also included in any incentive program we have going.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very helpful. And our last item is our new Director of Communications, Kristen Lambert.
Thanks. This is my 16th day on the job, and I'll be following up with you ladies because that is an amazing program, and I want to hear more about it. And it's going to be, there's so many things that are really easy to promote that are going on in the school, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed by all of them at the moment, but it's a good problem to have, you know, so I think it's going to be an easy sell across the board. The biggest thing that Dr. Krupe has asked me to do is branding, which is kind of, you know, we have newsletters and we have websites, but the branding portion of it, I'm going to need some community help with. And so I'm going to be putting out a call to set up a superintendent's committee. So on that superintendent's committee, I need 2 principals, 2 teachers, 2 students, a board member, if that's okay, a community member. I'm going to need help picking, you know, figuring out who that is, possibly a union rep if they want to be part of it, a community rep, which I think there's only one. So I'm going to be looking forward to interacting with the community, trying to put that together, and we'll be talking, I'll put it in all of the reports and have people call me. There's a lot of really good ideas out there. Feel free to email me. At this point, you know, I'm just writing the copy for my page of the website. It's going to have my cell phone number on it and my email, and just, you know, get a hold of me and let me know if you have good ideas for branding or for anything else that's going on. You know, there's a lot going on that I don't, you know, I haven't been exposed even to. So, you know, like that Apple Crunch, like, we got to get the Apple Crunch. Like, I want to get that. We've got to get the video of the Apple Crunch. What a great sound. You know, there's just way too many fun things to cover. But feel free to call me. You know, my telephone number, if you want it, is 248-202-1901. It's pretty open. Just call me and let me know what's going on. And if I'm awake and available, I will pick up. Okay? And that's about it.
Well, thanks. We're excited to have you on board. If you're interested in serving on this committee, you can let me know, but I'll follow up afterwards and we'll get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. All right, that moves us into public comment. If you'd like to speak, there's slips of paper in the back. Do we have anyone wishing to speak tonight? Nothing back there? Okay. All right. If there's no public comment, we will move on to, we have a closed session, which I need a motion for.
I make the motion that the Board of Education adjourn to closed session to consider security planning.
Support. Discussion? Don't expect this to be long. We'll try and be back as soon as we can. Roll call.
Mrs. Temple?
Yes.
Schwank?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Atkins?
Yes. Okay. I hate the surprise sync, but it just goes.
Surprise thing, and you're just like,
All right, I would like to go ahead and call the meeting back to order upon our return from closed session. It was fairly quick as promised, so that's always good. We don't have to have a roll call for that, we're good. All right. Next item is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to
I make a motion to Board of Education to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
roll call?
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel?
Yes.
Hinton?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Schrock?
yes.
Atkins?
Yes. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. So we have tonight our auditors with us. Our next item A is our audit presentation. So if you would like to join us at the podium here.
I don't know if Jason was going to make any comments or not to begin with, so.
Here he comes.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jason. All right.
So our annual audit is completed. Plant brand representatives are here tonight to give you a summation of the results. I guess they're here. I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening. My name is Eric Former. I'm a partner of Plant Moran and in charge of the engagement. With me, I have Tom and Nick, and Nick is here. He just made a comment to me. He says this is the first board meeting that he's ever been to, so you guys are doing a great job. I wanted you to know that. And he's here to kind of just get a feel for how things go, and Tom and I will be talking about the audit results. One of the great things I love about coming to a board meeting is that you get a feeling or you get a sense for the things that are really happening in education. And there's a few things just that happened tonight that I'd just like to take a minute to focus on. The first thing that really stuck out to me was the AP courses and how exciting that was to be able to identify a student opportunity and then be able to engage students in that activity and then provide them with that opportunity. To show you how old I am, AP was invented when I was in high school. I took the first AP class that Kimball High School ever offered, or program. I started when I was a freshman in high school, and to your comment about taking the test or not taking the test, I ended up not taking the test for calculus, but it really helped me when I went to college and I had to take my first math class, which turned out to be the only math class I had to take, which was calculus. And I 4-pointed that class as a result. And it's a great opportunity. And then to hear the conversation on the other side about pathways and about the opportunities that you're finding new and better ways to engage students within the process. And I just think both those things are really awesome, which only leads me to the third thing, and that is that I was a band ed. And we had a chat about this before the meeting started. I was at the MSBOA district competition, and I wanted to congratulate Hazel Park on their Division I ranking. It was fun to see, and the show was really great for the district, but also the whole night. So there's a lot of exciting things that are going on in education, and it's great to see that there's truly exciting things that are going on here at Hazel Park. We're going to go through the slides and kind of talk about the audit results, but just talk very briefly about what it's about. So the state of Michigan requires that every school district in the state of Michigan have an audit of their financial statements. Your year end is June 30, just as every school district in the state, every public school. That audit has to be completed and has to be issued to the state by November 1, so we're well ahead of that timeline. In addition, if you get federal dollars, you have to have an audit of those federal grants as well. So you actually get an audit of that. And then in addition, for sinking fund purposes, there's another state law that says those sinking fund transactions also have to be tested. So when we sit back to do our audit, we think about that in terms of well, it's just an audit. It's actually 3. And the results of the 2, and the third kind of follows that, is the basic financial statements. Congratulations, you get something called an unmodified opinion. That does not sound exciting, but it is. That is the best grade we can give. If you're go back to the AP, if you're taking an AP test, it's a 5. Okay, that's the equivalent of what that means. When we do our work, we're looking at the numbers to make sure that that the numbers are supported. But we're also looking at processes. A year ago, we had an issue with one of the processes and brought it up to the district, and that issue was resolved. So now the only finding, if you have, that we have deals with your deficit position. And that's a required disclosure that has to be made because the district is in deficit. But one of the, I think, nicer stories that we have within the financial statements is the district is moving forward, getting out of that deficit position. And if you attach that to some of the comments that we saw earlier, where you're still finding ways to make meaningful investment while you're going through that process is truly exciting. On the single audit side, you got that same really exciting opinion, unmodified, but we had no, as I indicated, we had no issues or no concerns. And on the sinking fund side, if we had any issues or concern, it would have been reported out as one of these findings. So when you look at it in its broad perspective, from the audit perspective, it's important to understand that we come in at the end after all the work has been done. And Matt and Jason worked really hard this year. This is the first time that you've had, in a long time, that you've had an internal business office team, but they didn't start the year here. Okay, they came in after things got going. So it took a long time, not a long time, but it took time to get your arms around it. So the fact that we don't have any process or control issues as a result is also a positive, because they were able to get things in motion and make sure that the accounting processes were working effectively. Said differently, that Apple Crunch thing has got to be really exciting, but going to see Jason and Matt crunch numbers, I think that's good media stuff right there. So with that in terms of background, and I don't mean to make light of it because it is so important, but it is something I think to be proud of, that you've been able to make some progress there. With that, I'll let Tom take us through the slides.
Thanks, Eric. Happy to be here, everyone. Hello. Had a funny Universe Crossing story. The final teacher you had introduced used to be my music teacher 20 years ago. So I introduced myself in the hallway, and he reminded me how old I'm getting. So I'm just going to present a few slides on just giving a broad overview on where you're at this year, or as of June 30, 2019, where the school district's at as a whole. So this first slide just presents the general fund revenue and other financing sources. The big takeaways on this slide just would have to be the $37 million number at the top. That's down 4% from the same period ending 2018. Much of that's attributed to the declining enrollment, which brought down the state aid membership, which is the turquoise blue box, of about 58% of your total general fund revenue and other financing sources. So your total revenue decreased by 4%. Most of that's attributed to a $1.3 million decrease in state aid revenue, again attributed to the declining enrollment. The next slide is your general fund expenditures and other financing uses. So this presents total expenditures of $33.5 million. That's down 9.7%. So your expenditure decrease is outpacing your revenue decrease, which is a good sign, and we'll get to that later in the presentation, showing at year end your total revenues exceeded your total expenditures, which meant you decreased your deficit position at year end. A couple highlights on this pie chart. Your salary and employee benefits represent the largest components of your expenditures. So this year that comprised 74% of your total expenditures. That's down $3.8 million from last year. In 2018, your salaries and employee benefits represented 77% of your total expenditures. The next slide just provides a line chart, a good indication of where the district was in 2013 compared to your operating results as of 2019. So you can see that in 2013 through 2015, you had excess expenditures over revenue of roughly $2 to $3 million, which ate into your fund balance in your general fund and built up a deficit position that slowly started to be minimized in 2016. In 2016, due to some cost-cutting initiatives, revenues were allowed to outpace expenditures. And that trend has come into play through 2019, which brings us to the following slide that lays out fund balance level for the past 7 years. So a couple key indicators here. In 2015, the district reached an $8 million deficit position. That can be considered the lowest of the lows from a financial stability position for the district. And since 2015, the district has trended toward eliminating that fund deficit position. As of 2019, you're at about a $600,000 fund deficit position. So a couple of reminders here. It looks like in 2020, plans that have been approved by the state have the district's projected to emerge from deficit. One of the other key metrics that the state uses to measure financial health of a district is fund balance as a percent of unrestricted revenue. So that 5% threshold until that's met, the district will be under increased oversight still by the state. Maybe not to the level of the deficit elimination plan, but as you emerge from deficit, you're still going to be under that early warning legislation. So again, there's progress that's been made through 2019, and that concludes the financial oversights, our presentation for Hazel Park.
And we're certainly glad to answer any questions that you have. And I think those last couple graphs, they highlight a couple of important things, is that the financial issues that you were forced to wrestle with did not happen overnight, nor does the resolution process happen overnight. And it takes a lot of vigilance, and it requires a lot of decision-making. It also requires a lot of creativity. One of the questions that you asked about pathways is, who's paying for all this? And one of the great answers we got out of that is we've gone out and got additional resources in order to provide the funding for that particular program. So it's a big team effort. It's the board, it's administration, it's the staff, it's everybody working together to try and achieve those goals. And it is, from my perspective, it's a positive for me to be able to see that the district's been able to begin to get its feet under it and to start moving in a direction, and you're clearly all in all the time.
Does any of the board have questions or comments on that chart? What? Great. Well, I know the Finance Committee had a chance to meet with you last week, I guess, and got a preview of this, and so I know I got some of my questions answered, but this is great news. We're really pleased. Thank you so much for coming tonight and walking us through it.
So I do have a question.
Oh, you have a question? Sorry.
Yeah, I do.
No, it's okay.
I rethink it. The biggest savings was employee benefits. It went from 30%. It's 30% now, but it was 77%. Took up the biggest revenue. Is that what you're saying?
We can flip it back to that. So to the expense one more. So on this slide, the orangey red color, that's the employee benefits piece at about 30%, and then the salaries piece is at about 44%. Right. So this, the sum of those two were about 74%, and then a year ago it was how much?
77.
77. So it's in aggregate it's a reduction of about 3%.
So that's a 3.8 million that he said. No.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In which part? Was it salaries, or is it from employees, which would be the ones that retired going into being new hires?
And some of it is in fact that. When you have a staff person that leaves at a higher compensation level and is replaced by a staff person that comes at a lower compensation level, you have some initial savings just from that item alone. But the other elements of it are really kind of a mix of the staff count that you have, staff changes that you made, some staffing reductions in certain areas that you made in order to better align the district to deal with its budget situation.
Right, so this would inherit the cuts we made on the vendor programs and things the previous year, right?
So part of the savings are going to be from the adult ed program that was reduced. Again, we started last year, you had a number of vacancies which were filled either by subs or by other means within the district. So that staffing cost itself saved money. But again, that continued on throughout the year. It's not just, you can't just, kind of characterize it as one item saved us that type of money. It happened through a number of items throughout the district. Again, the adult ed program being a big chunk of it as well.
Didn't you also have revenue then not come in as well, so it's...
Related to adult ed, yes. It's not a one-for-one offset.
It's confusing, because it's big, it's confusing that it wasn't discovered. I'm trying to figure out why it wasn't discovered sooner that we had this extra money, and now I'm hearing some of it's from the adult ed program, and I know it was a trade-off because we lost students, so I understand some of that, but I don't understand why we didn't know that we had that money and we wouldn't have had to cut that program. Or the biggest savings is from cutting that program?
Are you talking about adult ed specifically?
This is what threw us in a tailspin, a few years ago, was this finance situation. So it just concerns me.
You were just going to say something, Tom?
They're your numbers, sir.
Well, again, from what Tom presented earlier, though, be careful, because when your revenue is contracted, so again, your pie got smaller on the revenue side, and your expenses contracted as well. So, even though we did eliminate the adult ed program in aggregate, it was running a excess of expenditures. And I think that's the again, I wasn't here at the time, but I think that's the reason it was made to eliminate that program.
The adult ed was costing us money,
It was-
because I heard
correct.
two different stories. It was now. It was bringing us down. The adult ed.
Yes, based on the numbers that we had, it was costing the district funds to run that program.
If you remember correctly, let me turn this on. If you remember correctly, when we made cuts, this wasn't that was the year before.
Correct.
When we made cuts that totaled $500,000 and made a decision that last year the adult ed would be cut, there were grant funds that helped fund the adult ed, but there were also, it was discovered that for several years, adult ed had also been eating into the revenues that we were receiving from Invest and MBCA and Access. And so those funds would have been going into the general fund, but they were not. The excess costs from adult ed were eating into those funds as well. And so it had been discussed way before we had that was an acceptable piece, right? So that those funds were in the adult ed and that those were considered part of that. But in fact, when those funds, adult ed should have been funding adult ed with the grant funds, not taking some of the funds that were generated for us for running those other programs as well. Does that make sense?
I meant to say just more, there was some general ed dollars that was being used to fund
Yes.
adult ed.
State aid dollars, yes.
Yes. And so when you remove the adult ed piece of the conversation, those general ed dollars are not now being aligned to fund adult ed. They're now available to fund general ed. And I think that's where you achieved some savings, if you will, by moving the program out. You didn't take all the revenue out when you took the program out. You were able to keep some of those.
You kept some of the revenue from that program? Is that what you're saying?
Well, some of the revenue that was attributable to the district was being used to pay for adult ed. Okay, so when you took adult ed out, you still had those dollars that you could now use for other purposes, as opposed to having to channel them to pay for adult ed. Let me just say it differently. The adult ed agreements and contracts and costs associated with what you had was rather complex, but really, when you broke it down, it wasn't self-sustaining.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
Really, adult ed was costing more than adult ed was bringing in, and it was dipping into the 3% we received from the other programs.
So would that not have showed up on last year's audit?
It's shown up as, no, because it's just revenue and expense. So the revenue that comes in is revenue, and the expense that goes out is expense. So the costs associated with running adult ed would be a mixture of in last year's slides, would be a mixture of salaries and benefits and the purchase service box, because that's where the costs for the program were.
And for years, you approved a budget of all those programs being in adult ed, and so you approved those salaries in adult ed, so revenues in, expenditures out.
Correct.
And you approved budgets with those in
But
there.
wouldn't it have been part of your audit coming back to us saying that we're spending money out of the general fund for adult ed? Shouldn't it have been in your report?
Not necessarily, because we're not, well, our job is to figure out whether or not the expenses are right and the revenues are right, as opposed to deciding whether or not the dollar allocations that were made were profitable or not profitable. I mean, those are business decisions, those aren't accounting decisions. We come in and say, for adult ed, did you have adult ed cost in the right spot? And did you have adult ed revenue in the right spot? And you did. Okay. And internally, I mean, this goes all the way back to talking with Dan. I mean, there's been debates about whether or not adult ed, Dan Romzek, whether or not adult ed was self-sufficient or not. It goes back 4 or 5 years. That's a business decision, not an accounting decision.
Right.
And remember, when I discovered it, that's when it became part of the $500,000, and I brought it to the committee, finance committee, as a conversation.
We were making decision based on, the perceived increase in deficit at that time. I mean,
Yes.
I know it's frustrating now for us, but that's where we were.
So right now, as of right now, you're stating that our fiscal year, we're still in a deficit of $600,000.
Correct.
Next year, you project us out, correct? Possible.
The district projects you out.
Projects us out. You guys gotta come in. Now, do you go through all the books, all the accounts for say, or do you just hit like the big numbers of the general fund in, general fund out revenues?
It's a little harder question to answer. So our mission is, and if you read the report carefully, we actually have several what we call opinion units. We look at the general fund. Well, we look at the center program, that stands on its own. We look at the other funds that is kind of called the aggregate remaining fund information. But we audit and test in each of those pots to make sure that the financial information is appropriately supported, both on the revenue side, on the expenditure side, on the asset side, and on the liability side. So the key question about the accounts would be, do we test every account of how many accounts you got? About 15,000?
There's 3,000 or 4,000 lines, isn't there?
There's at least 3 or 4.
Just in the general fund.
Yeah. So, do we look at every individual line? No. But again, a lot of those are aggregated up for purposes of testing. When we look at salaries and compensation and things like that, we look at individuals and we look to see that they've been charged correctly. We test those. And then we do analysis of the pot of salaries to make sure that those numbers are consistent with the expectation.
Okay. Because, yeah, Would you consider that a forensic audit would be in tow to look at all the accounts, or no?
That's a board decision, it's not an auditor's decision. A forensic audit would typically, when we use that term, it usually implies that there's a specific matter that needs to be investigated. So normally, if you were going to procure what's called a forensic audit, and you said we want to look at all the accounts, you won't really find a firm to say we're going to do that. What they would say is there an area that you have unique concern? And then they would go in and they would examine those specific areas of that specific item.
Okay.
I mean, it's not, it just so happens because I was driving and listening to it. So the city of Detroit, just their auditor, the city auditor just spent 6 months looking at that relationship for that one project that they've been using related to having their mothers carry the babies to term. So that's an example, if you will, of a forensic audit. Whereas there was a specific question that they wanted to try and answer, and they spent 6 months looking at that question. That's a good example of a forensic audit. Yeah.
So the audit looks at everything that happened for last year, and for us, I think it's important to say, okay, they've confirmed our deficit is at the 606,000, right?
Yes, correct.
And we, our budget we adopted assumed that as our incoming number, and we expect to, come out eliminating the deficit at the end of this year. So I think what we can count on from this audit firm is saying that's an accurate number. We have closed our books from last year as of June 30th, and they have no findings. So I think that's good news.
Well, yeah, no, that's why it's great to see the report. No, I make sure I read your recommendations and your comments. That's why I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because nothing really in there that jumps out stating anything as far as, and I have to give the gentlemen that we have in our new department a great job that they've done in a short amount of time to do what they've done to help our district.
And I affirm that. That's, as I alluded to earlier, it's a tall task. And I would say you spent months trying to sort out different things as you were trying to make sense of it. And one of the benefits we have as an auditor is we come in after the battle's over, and we get a little bit of the benefit of hindsight in some regard, where we get to look at things and say, well, this looks like what the number ought to be. Is that what the number is? Whereas the accounting function attempts to track that stuff on an ongoing basis, and they're doing it contemporaneously, whereas we're doing it really kind of after the fact.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. All right, thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you to our business office for working with the auditors and taking time out, and so we're happy with the results.
All right, thank you so very much. Thanks again to the team for working so well with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, so the next item is to actually vote to approve the audit. So can I get a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the Board of Education to accept the 18-19 audit as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hempel?
Yes.
Hammond?
Yes.
Hinton?
No.
Mrs. Temple?
Yes.
Schlock? Yes. Atkins?
Yes. All right, item C, St. John Ascension Health Clinic bid. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation and award the bid for St. John Health Clinic project to M. Health Shaner Construction at a cost of $133,200, as well as the approval of the TMP fees for design and construction administration as presented.
Support.
Discussion.
So this has been a long time in the works. We finally brought this to bid. ML Shaner Construction came in at a price of $133,200, significantly lower than the other two bids. The other one bid came in at $199,000. The other bid came in at $264,000. In discussion with TMP, there was concern that the $133 was too low. Our representatives from TMP reached out to ML Shaner, and they seem to have a firm grasp of the project in itself. When we look at this project for the health clinic, it's going to be done in 3 phases. Our staff and maintenance will go in and do some of the demo to help save money. Then ML Shaner will come in and do the rough ends and get everything ready for the finish work. And then St. John's, although they cannot provide us with monetary aid, they can still come in with their crews and do the finish work. So it's just like us not having to spend the money. So through the combination of those 3 groups of individuals, TMP's initial estimate was over $250,000 for this health clinic, and we're going to save significant amount of money that is going to help us then conserve that sinking fund for other projects that are going to go into the building. So should be a very interesting project.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see this get done. Any questions from the board?
Is this is not the same company we used for the,
It is not. Allied is the second bidder. They bid at $199. So again, we wanted to make sure we did our due diligence on ML Shaner before we, and again, we did, Bill Weinrock from TMP had the discussion with ML Shaner representatives, and they understand the complexity of the project, and we feel that it's a fair bid.
Anything else? All right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
is this the same architect we?
It is.
Here in Unison?
Yep.
Okay. So they're just billing us the same as they've done with the first project?
This project, I think their concept is the same. This $25,640, from my standpoint, it is a not to exceed number. They have attached hours to this number, so in terms of administration and oversight, we are going to be, looking at, when they're on site and making sure that they are doing the construction administration. And again, a lot of this was up front because of just the actual developing of the plans themselves. We don't have accurate plans of that section of the high school because it had gone through some renovations. I believe it was the old high school media area. So again, just there was some additional time put into it to get accurate plans so that these companies could bid on it.
Okay.
Our floor plans weren't as accurate as they should have been.
We're not going to use Mr. Stoner?
This project, I don't think Mr. Stoner's services are necessary. If the board deems or believes it's required, then I could always have Mr. Stoner.
No, I'm just saying.
But I think this is a small enough project where we're only dealing with, maybe just over 1,000 square feet in the high school. And again, TMP, I'll make sure that TMP representatives are on site to oversee the various steps of the project to make sure it goes smoothly.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that we're not spending more than we have to.
No, and again, like the $25,640 is a not to exceed number for TMP, and we'll hold them to it.
Thank you very much.
All right, roll call.
Schlack.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to our personnel recommendations. These are divided to accommodate some of the conflicts on the board. First one is for ASME, the custodial union. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the ASME employees group as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Schlack.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict. Next one is the HPEA. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the HPEA employee group as presented.
Second the motion.
Any discussion?
I know, just simply that we're really fortunate that we were able to hire 2 more special education positions. I know our special education departments were working very hard, and we know that there are extreme shortages of classrooms all over the state in special education. There's a recent survey, and we still have 3 additional vacancies at our center program at Edison. So kudos to our special education department for working so hard to fill these vacancies.
All right, roll call.
Schlock.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, next is the HPPA paraprofessional. Can I get a motion,
We
please?
must,
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the HPPA employee group as presented.
Support.
Discussion.
Again, I want to send out kudos to Dr. Kraus, who has worked very, very hard to fill these. I think Edison is filled at this time for the first time. And again, these positions are very, very difficult to fill with extreme shortages across the state. And just kudos that she's just done a wonderful job working across the district to get our paraprofessional positions filled.
Yeah, that's great. Roll call.
Schlock.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
abstain due to conflict.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Abstain due to familial conflict.
Atkins.
Yes. Next item is our IUOE Secretarial Union. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation for the IUOE employee group as presented.
Second the motion.
Discussion, sorry.
We're really excited to finally have a secretary at the high school up front, and it is a parent, so we're really excited to have a family member up front.
Very critical position. Always see
Very critical.
All right, roll call.
Schlock.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Abstain due to familial conflict. All right, and last is unaffiliated employees. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education accept the recommendations for the unaffiliated employees groups as presented.
Support.
Any discussion?
No
All right,
comments.
roll call.
Schlock.
Yes.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, so that moves on to item E, which is regarding an Advantage Elementary teacher. Can I get a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the administration's request to hire one FTE elementary teacher for the Advantage School as presented.
A discussion. There.
So currently, we have 10 elementary students in our Advantage program and one teacher, and traditionally, we've had 2. Given the behaviors and the potential need to send more students there, we feel the need to ask for another teacher. Depending on the year and depending on the mix of students and the behaviors, sometimes one would work. This year, we feel the need to separate them into 2 classrooms. Especially, we know that as it gets close to the middle of the year, we will have more students come, and we would not be able to have more students in that classroom.
Any other discussion from the board? All right, roll call.
Mr. Hempel.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Hinton.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Schlock.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, item F, school emergency operations plans. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the school's emergency operations plans as discussed.
I second the motion.
Any discussion?
No, just simply that we are required by law to send this forward to confirm that we have approved these through our Board of Education.
All right, roll call, please.
Schlock. Mr. Hempel.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Hinton.
Yes.
Hammonds.
Yes.
Mrs. Hempel.
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right, moving on to item G, which is our
What is that?
principals resolution, because it's Principals Month, recognizing them. I have a resolution that I'll read. Why don't we go ahead with the motion first?
Oh, I move the Board of Education approve the resolution recognize October as Principal Appreciation Month. Second.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Do we have some principals left in the audience? Oh, we have a few hanging in there. All right. Resolution of recognition. Whereas principals make a significant difference for students and staff every day, impacting the effectiveness of teachers and the achievement of students. And whereas principals serve as education leaders who motivate and inspire all members of the school staff and student body to engage in the learning process. And whereas principals set the academic tone for a school by working with teachers and staff to set rigorous academic standards and push students to excel. And whereas principals act as liaisons, interacting and partnering with parents, as well as collaborating and communicating with their communities. And whereas it is the responsibility of the governing board to support, edify, and encourage the efforts of principals as they lead in our school. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hazel Park Board of Education recognizes October as National Principals Appreciation Month and honors and recognizes the contribution of school principals and assistant principals to the success of students in the nation's elementary and secondary schools. And be it further resolved that the Hazel Park Board of Education encourages the Hazel Park Schools community to share in this sentiment, further affirming the tireless work our principals perform.
All right.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Hempel,
Yes, ma'am.
Hammond,
Yes.
Hinton,
Yes.
Mrs. Temple,
Yes.
Rock,
Yes.
Atkins.
Yes. All right. Item H, math pilot. It's an informational item. Who's speaking on this?
Dr. Postel.
Dr. Postel's back.
Yes. I'll be quick. So, go to the next slide. So, just in short, not actually this year, it actually started last year, but I have this first slide here, why the math pilot. The current subscription that K through 5 math teachers, or just K through 5 teachers have been using for the past, even before I was here, maybe 8 years, is Math Expressions. And the subscription actually was up for, or is up for renewal. And so that allowed us an opportunity to take a look at what else is out there in addition to Math Expressions. So just to kind of give people a background as to why we're actually in the process of the pilot. So if you take a look here, I tried to condense things just to kind of give you an overview of what it looked like. So last year of 2018, October through November of 2018 is when the actual process began, where there was myself working with Oakland Schools consultants, and at the time, the literacy consultant that we had in place, we researched several different elementary math resources, a lot. We reviewed those resources and narrowed them down to 6. And from those 6, there was a tool that we walked through with the Oakland Schools consultant, which is the same tool, and you'll hear a little bit more about it shortly, that the teachers use to narrow the 6 down to the 4. And so if you kind of take a look at this, that brought us to the current year of 2019, where we actually identified a math pilot team, and there's representation from K through 5. All 3 of the elementary schools have teachers that represent one of the grade levels, and 2 of the grade levels at the time, there were 2 teachers. Second and third grade had 2 teachers, but every school is a part of the pilot. There's a teacher represented for each grade level. With that being said, we moved on through the year, and with that, the team actually reviewed and provided feedback for the 4 resources. And I just want to make sure, if you follow me with the timeline, there were 6, and myself, and the consultant going through those 6, we narrowed down the 4. And that same process, which you'll see shortly, is what the teachers that were part of the pilot team used to narrow down the 4 to where we are currently today, which is June through July. They identified Investigations 3 as the resource pilot for this school year. And when we say pilot, that's just an opportunity, that was of the 4, that was the one that they felt met the curriculum analysis tool that we use to identify content, balance, and looking at our framework. That is what we, teachers included, felt like best fit. And so with that, we pressed forward through August, where they received some professional development, and we are here today, where they are piloting. And when I say they, it's just the K through 5 teachers that are on the pilot team are piloting the materials to see if this is the direction that we're going to go in. So kind of this is an overview of the timeline, and if you have questions that are more detailed questions, I can answer those. But if you go to the next slide, the next slide talks more about the process that I just explained. So using the mathematics curriculum analysis tool, that is the tool that we use to identify where we are today. And it was through a lot of discussion and feelings and views that we got to where we are today, but that tool actually helped us to get to where we are today and not necessarily input feelings, but strictly stick to the facts. Is the content there? Is there balance? And does it match up with the math framework that we have here in Hazel Park? And from that, with glaring numbers, we ended up where we are today, with Investigations 3. And if you go to the next page, this is our work. It took 4 months to get to this part, and then even June through July. And so with that, as you can see, Investigations was the highest. The analysis tool allowed for us, again, to focus on, is the content there? And teachers, when we talk about content, teachers were looking at their particular grade. They looked at a unit within their particular grade, and they looked at the content, the balance, meaning are the mathematic procedures in balance with the content, and then finally, we looked at our framework and the components of our framework, and does that particular resource match up with that? And if you go on to the next slide, again, these were the 4 that were narrowed down. Bridges, and many of you may have heard of some of these throughout Oakland County, or really just the state. These are different ones. Engage New York, Investigations 3, which is what we narrowed down, and then Math Expressions, which is what we currently use. But I want to be clear that it's not necessarily what we currently use, it's the revised version. So they were able to take a look at the revised or updated version of Math Expressions. And through the research, Investigations 3 is where we are today. And so the next slide is where we are. We did have someone that was going to speak, but I can just speak on behalf of that. They are piloting. Actually, this week we have one of our conference calls with the consultant has been assigned to work with us, who's also piloting in California, Georgia, and here in Michigan, and she's working with the same grade level group of teachers. And so this is where they'll be able to answer or ask questions, get them answered, share their highlights, lowlights, so maybe just she can guide us in another direction. And we'll see in the next month or so if this is going to be the program for Hazel Park. Any questions?
Yeah, your pilot team, did you have someone from each school?
Yes.
Part of your, is that how?
Yep.
Okay.
So we have someone from each school. All 3 schools are represented. Now, one school may have more than others, but it was strictly based on volunteer. It was a voluntary basis, and some just volunteered sooner than others. And I wouldn't even say sooner, because it's not like, just to be honest, it's not like we had this overflowing amount of people wanting to be a part of the work, because just think, we started a year ago today, but there's representation from all 3 elementary schools.
And they all agreed that this is what they wanted?
This is where what we came up with now. Now, I don't know if this is where we're going to be, but where we are today, this is where we came up, what we landed on is where we are today. Now, again, when we look, especially when we have this call on Thursday, and throughout we'll see how things go, but I do want to be clear that we came to a clear understanding that this is where this group is going to go and move forward and use it with fidelity to make sure this is the best for Hazel Park. And that's what we're expecting and hoping, that's going on in the classrooms. Any questions? We'll know more again especially after this week, and then moving forward.
So thank you for bringing this information to us. I know I've been asking questions, and this is really helpful to kind of see where you're at with it. I know it's been being looked at, like you said, for a year, and I'm like, what's going on with it? I want to know, like, who's piloting it? Like, is everyone piloting it? Like, how's it? So it sounds like you'll check in, and then once you make a decision, we would see that come through if we're going to switch formally adopt that next year. Okay.
Just a comment, it's very thorough.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks.
It's good.
Any other questions?
I don't think so. Thank you so much. Thanks. All right, moving on to item I, the superintendent update. Dr. Kripke, you can start with enrollment.
So we just have enrollment in there for you right now at this point, and enrollment is always moving. And remind you, this is FT, this is the number of students we actually have. It is not, and the number is compared to the end of last year, so it is not compared to count day, and we'll wait till we are audited to see what the actual counts are. Okay.
Right. Okay, so we're still waiting for the confirmation of count day early this month.
Okay. And then holiday baskets, I'm sure you've seen that our Director of Communications got a wonderful article out there about holiday baskets, so that's already out there and communicating for us. So we'll hope that some of you will join us for holiday baskets this year. We're trying to get everyone in the buildings to get more involved this year and get the baskets rolling. We're going to have a competition in the buildings, and the classroom that has the most will get a pizza party. Thankful that Chartwells will help us with that. Hopefully that we also will do something special with the classroom, maybe treat-wise, that gets the most cans for us. Several years ago, we had just a tremendous amount of cans out there, and last year we did not have as many, so we're hoping that we can really up the spirit and get everyone going. I'm handwriting some notes out to the local churches, so we're hoping that we'll get them to get involved with this as well, and we'll get a lot of businesses going. So if you know anybody that wants to do hats, gloves, cans, dollars out to us, we really want to get the spirit going and get more cans. We were down really far last year.
Sounds good. Next item is the special education manual. It's okay.
Hello, I am super excited to be here this evening in front of you. I know I've mentioned this in a couple cabinet notes that the special education manual is coming your way. Lindsay is actually passing out a couple documents that we've been working on. I will tell you that this has been in the works since March of last school year, and it's taken quite a long time. So when I stepped into this role last year as director, Dr. Krupe and I had a couple conversations about the need for a special education manual for policies and procedures. And so I got to work on that in collaboration with Oakland Schools. And like I said, this has been a big project, but really informative and really exciting to watch it kind of come to fruition. And so a couple minutes of your time tonight. One thing to know is that this is and will continue to be a working document. We get updates from the Michigan Department of Education, from Oakland Schools, so we are continuously going to be updating this manual. And so just so you've got that in the back of your mind, that this is a fluid document and process. The purpose of the manual is to provide structure of the process to implement our policies, to act as a reference to answer questions for staff that on a daily basis, to use as a staff development tool, and then for as a source of resources for support and assistance for staff and parents. As a point of reference, just for your information tonight, Hazel Park services 220 students with IEPs, and that number spans across 6 buildings. Additionally, we service 137 students with IEPs in our 2 center-based programs at Edison and Jardin. And so this totals 359 students on IEPs currently. That does not count the number of referrals that we get throughout the school year. And with each referral, we work diligently to decipher if they need special education through our MTSS process. So a little number for you to just kind of put in your mind. Our staff worked very, very hard to educate and service these students. So this manual is really to assist our staff, our parents, our students, our community in providing service to the best of their ability. So the organization of the manual. So in front of you in your hands, Lindsay passed out a table of contents, the IEP compliance document tool, and then information on accommodations and modifications. Those are just a couple of sample forms that I wanted to put in your hands to give you a little preview of what we've done so far. That is extremely small snapshot of what we've been doing. There are 2 sections to our manual. The first section is the Parent Resource Handbook. So Brad's got that on the screen right now. Will you go back one click, Brad? So again, this is a work in progress, but right now this is kind of where we're at. This is our parent information guide to our community. So different highlights of this specific section include, but not limited to, disability areas, child find law, the services that we have available, the IEP referral process, parent involvement, least restrictive environment and what that means, diploma versus certificate of completion, what that means, and a bunch of other different information for you to read them and look at.
Now, is this online?
So it's going to be online. So this parent piece, it's quite lengthy. Brad, if you just kind of want to scroll a little bit through, you can kind of see what's in here. Pardon me?
I see at the bottom it says 38 pages.
Yeah, it's lengthy. You don't have to, to read the whole thing at your leisure. You can read it. But I'm working with Brad, our tech director, and Kristen to kind of make this look really nice and pretty and presentable to our community. And so this is going to go on the Special Services webpage and a link that parents in the community can access from that hyperlink on our website. We want parents to be equipped with the knowledge and information of our special education department. We want them to have the information no matter where they are in the special education process, whether it's the beginning, the middle, the end, they have questions. We want them to have that information at their fingertips. Section 2 of the manual, which is what you've got in front of you, the table of contents. So there are roughly 85 topics that are addressed in here. This is our hard copy right now, with approximately 180 forms for reference and for policy, procedure, quick reference, those kinds of things for our staff. So it provides a user with concepts and frameworks to understand how to implement special ed policies and procedures. It's a reference for both federal and state regulations, but it's not an exhaustive list of every single regulation and policy. Helps staff to familiarize themselves with topics listed in district forms that have been developed to provide equitable access to special ed services. And then, so this part of it, Brad and I are working together to put a link, again, on our webpage. It's going to dump into our shared Google Drive for our staff only. And so anytime, wherever they are, they can access this link, and it goes into our shared drive. Right now, for each section of this manual, there's a flash drive that's got each section on here. So we're taking those forms, we're going to put them into the shared Google Drive, and then staff at any point in time can have access to any form that they need. And again, this is pretty thick. So I can pass this around, but the table of contents is what's in here. And let me see, if you want to see it, I can pass it around for you, but that's pretty much what we've been working on since March. It is a working document. I do hope to have this really pretty and up and running on our website very, very soon for parents at least. And then the forms for our staff. Staff are very excited. Had a committee with five staff members 2 weeks ago. They're very excited. We're going to roll this out at Teacher PD Choice on the 31st. And so it's a great thing. I'm very, very excited, as you can probably tell. So if you want to see it, you're more than welcome. And it's here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cameron's done a great job. That is a tremendous amount of work, and we also hope that this parent handbook will really help our parents know their rights and regulations and be able to access, as we've really talked about wanting to help our parents of students with disabilities understand how to access their services more efficiently. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your efforts on that. I know that you put a lot of time into it. All right, next one was our strategic plan and board goal.
So in the board packet was our new vision, mission, and belief statements, as long as with our new goal statements and the Board of Education goals attached that we agreed to. So they are up and they are live and they have been shared. And the objectives up and underneath for the staff. The staff's currently looking and reviewing the objectives. They're being sent back from the district network down to the building network so that they can look to see if there's any more that they would like to add for the staff. Those will be brought back to the district leadership team tomorrow and next week if we're not finished with them. Our buildings haven't gotten through all of them. And then obviously we'll continue to work on ours as we meet in workshop format to make sure that we're fulfilling those as a board and a team together. So want to make sure that we shared those and they were able to go live with everyone. Any questions?
So are those going to be out on the website?
Those will be up on the website as well.
Okay. So great, yeah, the board met and we revised these goals and tweaked them so we're all in alignment. And so I'm excited that we've got something here and we're gonna hold ourselves accountable to the 4 goals that we have set. So I don't know if people have seen these yet. Is this available to the public link?
This is out on the link, yes.
Okay. All right, great. So we have 4. They're around academic and finance performance, 1 around community engagement, 1 around board responsibilities, holding ourselves accountable, and 1 on leadership, which is also another board-related one. So great. Thank you for help for everyone working together on those. All right, that is our last item on the agenda, so that moves us to board member and administration comments. Do we have any final comments?
I just want to say welcome to all the new staff. It was really good meeting a lot of you tonight. And congratulations to the students who are succeeding and working in our AP programs. It's really exciting to see that it's really taking off. And thank you to the rest of the presenters. Great information, fantastic news all around. I'm really relieved to hear that the audit came back with the same findings that our finance office did, so nice job, Jason, and your staff. And the Cub Scouts will be passing out, speaking of food donations, Scouting for food bags, they'll be passing them out, and the Girl Scouts, on November 2nd in the neighborhood basically around Ford here. And then the pickup is November 9th, so you'll see a bunch of bags tied to everybody's doorknobs starting on the 2nd, and then just take the week. If you could fill those bags, it'd be great. We'll be back out on the 9th after like 9 o'clock or something to pick them back up. So that goes to Gleaners. Great cause. That's it. Thank you.
And I'd also like to welcome all of our new staff. It was great having the students here for the AP. It was a large crowd of kids, so it was really exciting to see that. It's Principal Appreciation Month. We appreciate all of our principals, so thank you. Jason and Matt and our finance department, kudos to you. You guys are awesome. And at the high school, they are now looking at recruiting for their swim team. So if you know a swimmer, you're competing against yourself. So it's about you. It's competition, but it's really all about you. So anybody who wants to do a sport, it's an easy one. And that's all I got.
It's an easy one. You just have to know how to swim.
We'll teach you.
All right, Dr. Krupe?
Really excited, we met today for the first time with the Superintendent Advisory Committee. So we have a committee of 9 students that I'll be meeting with on a monthly basis. We had about 16 students apply to be on the committee. And so our first meeting will be on the early release on the 31st. I'll be providing them lunch to encourage them to stay. And we'll be talking, our first topics will be centered around dress code and cell phone, where they're going to be researching between now and that time about their beliefs and policy and their beliefs around a cell phone policy and dress code, so that they're ready to discuss with the board committee as well what they think it should be to encourage you towards their beliefs. So I'm really looking forward to working with a group of individuals. They span from 10th grade to seniors. They're bright and they've got some opinions. And one student said that their reason for wanting to apply was to make it a more beautiful and spirited school. So really looking forward to working with this group. They were fabulous this morning.
Great. Rosie?
November 16th, the community engagements having a craft show at the high school. If you're interested, the tables are $25. Please call our community rep, Lisa Crouch Johnson, and she is at Webster now. And everybody's welcome.
Great. Craft show makes me think Christmas shopping. Like thinking, right? Halloween. That's what I love craft shows for.
Hold the bet.
All right, Mr. Hess.
It's a great evening, all this excitement. Thank you, gentlemen, for a nice audit this year. Hopefully, we look for a better one next year. And we look for a great school year, all the students and the new staff that you brought in. So we're looking forward to seeing how the progress of our new staff goes. Thank you for everyone staying around. Good to see old friends, and enjoy your evening. Are we out early? No.
Who's down there? Had the same thought as Dr. Krupe. Kudos to all those teachers and new employees, psychologists, social workers, everyone that came here thinking about the shortage that's all over the place. We're very fortunate to have that many people come and join us, and they'll find out it's a great school district. My no vote was not personal against those gentlemen over there. I have reasons, but I think they're awesome, so I clear that up. And I say happy Principals Month and happy Halloween.
All right. I can echo some of the same things. Welcome to all the new staff. Excited to see everyone and have on board. We need all those roles filled with people that want to be here, and we want to have a great staff and support system for our students. So I'm excited to see some of the new faces. Excited about the audit results. I think those are great. Thank you again to Jason and Matt and those that have provided all those things they needed, because the audit does go through a lot of detail. The principals, we need to shed more appreciation. So I feel like we should have said something at the beginning of the meeting when we had everyone here, but we know how hard you work all the time. I see lots of you around, and I appreciate all your efforts, so thank you. AP students, I think that the opportunity to take AP classes is just as important as whether you take the test or not, because I think that it helps kids get ready for, if they're going to go to college, if that's their path, that it gives a more rigor and more higher expectations. And so, I tell my kids, you take it, I don't care whether you take the test or not. I think that, the experience of taking it gives you that challenge if that's what you need. But I was excited for the ones that are going to be able to hopefully use that as college credit. And let's see, marching band, they've had a few competitions. I don't know if anyone caught them at their Friday night football game. They look fantastic. You can see a remarkable improvement this year. And they have 2 competitions this Saturday, and then they'll find out whether they qualify for their state finals at Ford Field, which they were fortunate to go to last year. So, it always comes down to the last minute and probably 1/100th of a point. So we'll see how that goes, but I think they're looking great, and I've been out there watching them. I know we passed around, you saw us passing some things here tonight. We've got some conferences that we're looking at. There's a national conference in April of the School Board Association. There's another one in Chicago, and what's the name of that one? There's another institute, an advocacy institute that you guys might want to think about too. Oh no, I switched it. One's in Chicago and the other's in Washington, D.C. So there's a few conferences. We're kind of taking interest to see who might want to go. I think it broadens our horizons. It keeps us trained. And there's the Michigan School Board one is coming up in a couple weeks that I'm planning to attend, so looking forward to that. And with that.
Motion to adjourn.
That's right.
Second.
Yes, I put my name down.